Today is a fantastic session. I think there's some really good speakers. We're going to be talking about what's the secret to building successful workplace cultures. And I'm really excited because today's session is about sharing personal experiences, personal best practices that the people on this call have rolled out in their organizations and had success with. Just as always, a couple of housekeeping items. We have the chat box, and we love audience participation. If you have any questions, they're always welcome. Please feel free to type the questions into the Q&A window. It's a lot easier for us to keep track of them over there. We'll be asking some poll questions at the end. There's also the professional development credits, which we'll be sharing at the end. And lastly, today's session is recorded. So if you want a copy of it, or if you want to share it with peers or colleagues, that's always welcome. And of course, today's session is brought to you by Bucketlist, by Paystone, and by Trailblaze Partners. We'll be sharing a little bit more information about our organizations at the end. And my name is Jason Lindstrom. I know probably many of you have heard me speak before, but I'm the CEO over at Bucketlist Rewards. And personally, I'm on a mission to help people leaders build the best cultures in the world. Employee culture and employee engagement is near and dear to my heart. And on my bucket list is, especially as I look into 2023, on my bucket list is to teach my daughters how to surf. But that's going to require step one, me learning how to surf properly. Maybe it's just like a light icebreaker question for the people who are on the call now. What's on your bucket list? 2023 is right around the corner. I'd love to ask you, like, what do you guys have planned? And maybe Jerry and Agata. Oh, a new Teresa.
That's a good one.
I love it.
And Jerry and Agata, what's on your guys' bucket list?
Do you want to share first, Agata, or you want me to?
No, I want to hear yours. I've been dying to hear what yours is.
Okay. Mine is, so Jason, as you know, life is kind of ticking on for me, as they say. And I have never, my wife is a teacher librarian. I've never taken the summer off with her. So I know this doesn't sound like an extravagant bucket list item, but this summer I'm taking July and August off to be with her, and we're taking a slow train through the Rockies. And that slow train has been on my bucket list forever.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's awesome. How long is the journey?
Oh, I haven't looked into the details. You know me better than that, Jason.
I heard you had the whole summer off, and I was like,
I have the whole summer. It can take as long as it wants to.
Awesome. And Agata, how about yourself?
So my bucket list is not a 2023 thing because I have 2 young kids, but it's a lifetime one. I actually want to sail around the world, and like not just in general. I want to be on like a competitive team. I know I have to buy my way onto that boat, but that's what I would love to do.
Of course, you want to be on a competitive team, Agata. Of course.
Awesome. I'll watch. Like if it gets televised, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
Very
and terrifying.
Cool. And I think that's a perfect transition. I'd love to welcome to today's speakers. I'll start off by introducing Agata. She's a senior VP of People and Experience over at Paystone. She has over 15 years of experience in HR and has been fortunate to work with some really cool brands. She thrives in high energy environments, loves a good challenge, values being mentored and mentoring and driving organizational impact. She's already shared her bucket list item. I've had the chance to actually, I did a leadership session co-hosted by Jerry, and I got a chance to work with Agata as my simulated boss, and it was an absolute treat and pleasure. She's a fantastic leader, and Jerry, fantastic leadership session. Next up, I love to introduce Jerry. He is the Chief People Officer and co-founder over at Trailblaze Partners. He's an entrepreneur, advisor, former people and culture executive, and self-professed people-aholic. Recognized multiple times as a top HR leader via Great Places to Work, an admired culture builder. He has 25 years of experience building high-performing teams across a variety of industries and companies, including Crystal Decisions, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Aritzia, Minefield, and O2E brands. He's owned 4 businesses of his own and has helped countless other owners and leaders realize the benefits of a highly engaged culture. So welcome so much, team. I'm really excited to get things kicked off here and go through our content.
Thanks, Jason. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And in terms of today's agenda, we're going to be talking about some top culture building tips from 2022. So as we look back, what are we really proud of? And then we're going to be talking about some trends to watch in 2023. So as we squint into the future, what should we be thinking about? And as always, questions are welcome, and we're going to dedicate some time to that at the end. So let's get things kicked off. Let's talk about the first question, which is, what's the best culture building tip you're taking away from 2022? And Jerry, could you share with us some of your top takeaways?
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. And what a year 2022 was. And I know that seems like not saying much after the year that 2020 was and 2021 was, but we had another one of these big years. And so, trying to summarize what I saw as the lessons learned from 2022, I think there were three things. And one of them was, whether you called it, whether it was the Great Resignation or quiet quitting or just signs all over the workplace that disengagement and burnout had taken a toll, even those that were like, I'm fine through the pandemic, through 2020, 2021, the signs of this, the impact on our people was everywhere. And so, so that was happening, and you couldn't read a headline without seeing something about it. But what's the lesson is the good employees, the clients that we get to work with that really care about culture, they're paying attention, and they're doubling down on their people. And that's not just responding with salaries, which was the thing that really grabbed the headlines, but it was responding in ways that, came up with new ways of collaborating with their sort of co-located teams, building connection days. How many times did you see on LinkedIn, celebrations of, wow, I got to meet my team for the first time? Like, that took people in culture teams and executives investing in bringing people together to do that, and they saw the impact of it. So the disengagement and burnout was there, but the good companies were responding with really great things to do. Kind of quickly on that, Jason, and I know I'll be quick here, but I think the other lesson was our managers, especially kind of frontline managers in the middle, have taken everything that's happened over the last 3 years has really taken a toll, and they need investment. Not a single, I think 99.9% of those managers, leaders, they come to work wanting to do a great job every day and lead their teams. Often they don't have the tools, the resources, the skills, the experience to do it right. And so the good organizations, the ones that are winning, they're figuring out ways to invest in those middle managers. We work with a company that put together leadership cohort training for leaders that hadn't seen any development for almost 3 years because of the pandemic. And what they did is they put the program out there for them, but they didn't want to just add to the stress. So they said, we're making this leadership development available to you. You're not going to be in trouble if you don't make a session. If something else is on your plate that's bigger, worse, family, whether it's work or family or whatever, this is there for you, and it's there for you when you need it. So that's an example of investing in frontline managers, but not just adding to their stress. And then finally, the last thing I'd say is, we got scared as employers, some of us, because employees grabbed the reins of the job market. And I think that, there's lots of lessons in that, but I think the biggest one is they're screaming, like, show me that I'm valued to you, connect me with the purpose of the organization. And number one, I want to be developed. Why am I here? What do you do? How are you investing in me? And it's not all about throwing salary. It's about doing a whole bunch of other things. That's what I saw. That's 2022 wrapped up in a bow, Jason.
Amazing. I love it. And next, I'd love to invite Agata to share her key takeaways.
Cool. I'll get to the key takeaways in a sec, but I want to talk you through how we got to those key takeaways, because they are steeped in our company strategy, which is this one. So I've overly simplified it. Our customer-driven growth strategy is we help businesses make their customers happy, which then motivates them to share their incredible experience, and that can show up as reviews and recommendations. And then those businesses amplify their customers' voices rather than spending more on marketing saying we're great. It's like, listen to our customer, and then those customers actually help you get more customers. Now, if you go to the next slide, we took this overall strategy and turned it internally as a people experience strategy, which we call our people first strategy. And we made this in 2021. 2022 was really where we catapulted the people first strategy internally. And I've simplified it a little bit, but it'll help make sense of what we really focused on and what we learned in 2022. Again, same strategy, make people happy, motivate our people. So there's that recognitions and rewards, amplify the voice of our people. Again, don't go top up, go bottom up. And as a result, what we got was more employee reviews, referrals, customer referrals, and reduced turnover. So now, what was our 2022 lessons? What did we get right? So if you flip to the next slide, we listened more than we ever had before. And I know that sounds obvious. Everyone thinks that they listen. We like multiplied that beyond what most individuals would think. This showed up in engagement surveys. I read every single comment, and so did the executive team. Anyone in leadership read every comment that they could. We took that and moved quickly in terms of sharing results back, but also our aligned action items, and also said what we're not doing. So when people are like, we've really been asking for this, it's like, we can't, like, we're really direct with employees. And while culture, you might think of engagement surveys as quarterly, and we were quarterly, what about all the time in between? We were really open to live questions during town hall, which we had monthly, live questions in Slack, other ways of getting it. And we also have an anonymous question process, so people can ask us, and we would do everything possible to reply within 24 hours from an executive. So like really radical conversations. There's one that got missed, and that was my fault. So that's why there's like one exception. So if anyone on my team's watching, they're like, you forgot that Barbados question, and that is correct. We also became hyper vigilant around when we say people first, that means putting the person we are thinking about first. And how that showed up is we changed our rewards philosophy. Money's great, and I think money will continue to be great, but when money became so abundant and so very easy to throw out during 2020, people just want to feel special, and the money wasn't doing that. And so we really threw away kind of the traditional way of thinking about rewards, and we started to say, like, what do you want? And we had the wildest requests, but people really valued like stand-up paddle boards or specific experiences, and they're so cool that people just were like, this was just out of my like comfort of spending, but I'm so excited I got this. We had like patio furniture. It was so much fun. I got so many ideas personally. But we also, in 2022, we started the year, we rolled out a platform called Lattice, but really what we really were excited about was decentralizing peer-to-peer recognition. Recognition always felt very like top-down traditionally, and it's hard to balance fairness when you're a leader. Like, who did I say? And this person, it's like, no, let the people that work together, let them celebrate each other. And that has taken on a life of its own. I think someone on my team ran the stats for this year. We've done over 600 individual points of recognition, which was incredible. For context, that's about three pieces of recognition per year per person on average. So super cool. So yeah, that was what we did right in 2022.
Amazing.
Awesome stuff.
Jerry, that was super cool. So it's funny, I have a bunch of questions I have in the back of my head. And again, as a reminder to all the attendees, please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A window. One comment, because I can't help resist this as a leader. I loved how you're in the people lead role, Agata, but how you connected your people strategy to the overarching company strategy, which is like super refreshing. Like that's amazing. Like that you talk about everything in context of the bigger overall vision. So awesome.
Thanks.
Cool. And I'll share just a couple of quick takeaways from my point of view. But I love asking questions. And so I'd invite the people on the call to just go ahead and type your answer, what you think the answer is, into the chat window. So so here's my question for you, for the attendees. What percentage of employees understand what your company is trying to do and why? So go ahead and type in the chat window, see what we got. Craig says 0. It's higher than
This
that.
feels like the Price is Right. This
Look at
totally
this.
feels like the Price is Right. I was like, ooh.
Oh my goodness, Kristen, 38%.
38% from Kirsten.
20%, 10, 1.
You guys are really, what a smart audience. Kyle's 20%, Macy 10. What? Okay, cool. So
I love how Craig went like from 0 to okay, 1%. Way to go.
well, Anna said, can you repeat the question? So up on screen, it says, what percentage of employees understand what your company is trying to do and why? And I'm going to give you the answer. It's 37%. So if this was the Price is Right, oh my goodness, I think Kristen,
David would have won.
Is it, you have to be under on the Price of Right?
You have to be under.
Yeah,
It can't be over.
You know the rules of the game before.
I know, but Kristen was the closest.
Very
If
close.
it was golf, it would have been Kristen.
I love it. So what is obvious here? I think it turns out a very small percentage of your employees actually understand what your company's trying to do. That's why I loved Agata example, is always connecting to the bigger vision. And I think as a personally as a leader of a company, I think it's critically important to have alignment within your organization, to have everybody rallying around a simple goal or vision. And I think that logically leads to the next question is, okay, so if this is an issue in most organizations, how do we fix this problem? How can you create clarity and alignment? I wanted to share one thing that we did this year that seems to be working really well. It's this idea of building a compelling vision with something called the North Star metric. I'll share a quick explanation of what a North Star metric is. It's basically a measurement that's most predictive of a company's long-term success. A good North Star metric should do 3 things. It should lead to revenue, it should reflect customer value, and it should measure progress. So it's one simple number that measures everything. And just for context, here's a few sample North Star metrics from some fairly well-known companies. So over at Airbnb, they track number of nights booked on their platform. At Slack, the instant messaging tool, they measure the messages sent within the organization. And at Zoom, they measure the number of weekly hosted meetings. So again, it's really simple. It's easy to follow. Ideally, it should be going up and to the right. Here's what we did at Bucketlist. The metric we rolled out is the total number of people being recognized on our platform. Each recognition moment, as Agata was referring to, it's really meaningful. Like when you recognize somebody, it's your opportunity to pick them up where they stand and say all the great work they're doing. So I thought it might be fun to share how we actually rolled this out at Bucketlist. We recently did our annual kickoff. We defined a whole bunch of goals for 2023. The kickoff presentation lasted for 1 hour. We went through like a whole bunch of slides. I think there was like 72 slides in and around company goals. I squeezed in my dad jokes. And then at the end of the presentation, I invited the team to join me on a journey to impact 1 million people's lives. This became our North Star metric. And then also, as a founder, I think it's really important to choose goals that focus on the outcome or the true value on the customer might receive. And impacting 1 million people, in my experience, is pretty darn exciting. So I put it up on screen. I invited who's with me, got some good audience participation. But it's not just a matter of announcing a goal. I think it's important to create some sort of fun hook to make it playful and to invite people to join you on this journey. So what we did is we invited our employees. We're running a contest to see who can guess when we'll hit 500,000 users. And the winner, whoever's closest, just like we did the guessing of the question before, the winner of the question will get a flight for 2 anywhere in the world and $1,500 towards a life goal. So it's something kind of big and something we can create a bit of a buzz around the company. And sure enough, there's a great reaction from what I saw on the Zoom screen. The second tip, and this might be, I think probably a bunch of you on the call are already doing this. We recently rolled out an ESOP, but this can take the form of either an ESOP or profit sharing. I've done both at different companies. And I think when it comes to rolling out a program like this, there's a few important details that make it really impactful. And I'll share those now. So when I rolled out this program, I made the decision to meet with every single employee in the company. We're not huge. We have 55 people right now, but it was a time commitment. But it was awesome. It was really cool because I got to personally thank people who'd been with the organization for a number of years and like say like, hey, like I deeply value your contributions, and we're going to reward that by giving you access to an employee stock option program. And also it was really fun because I could share the vision for the future because as option holders, they participate in the upside. And then lastly, I've built other companies in my past. And one of those companies was recently acquired back in April. And I was able to share that success story with the current team. And that last company was called Advisor Websites. And when it got acquired, the deal closed, the funds flowed through to the employees. And it was magical. What I got to observe in that acquisition was that employees did all sorts of amazing things with these funds. Some people put it towards educational savings so they could, put their kids through college. Other people bought a car. Some people went on trips. And in some cases, we helped employees put a down payment towards a house. Like that really matters. Like it goes to show like how impactful a program like this can be. And I don't think it's enough just to tell the narrative, like you get X number of options or grants, and this is what it means. It's important to connect how it impacts their lives and how they're part of the journey. Cool. We're going to move on to our next question now, which is, what do you foresee being the hot trends in culture and employee engagement for 2023? We're going to put on we're going to pull out the crystal ball. We're going to look into the future now. And Jerry, I'd love to get your thoughts and insight on this question.
Sure. Thanks, Jason. And just on your employee profit share program, the stories, I just double down on that. It's the stories of how it impacts people's lives that make those programs seem meaningful. So shifting to the crystal ball, I mean, I thought about this one and I love thinking in either triangles or quadrants. And so I went quadrant on this one. And I think, you can see it there on the screen, but I think we're in for more volatility. So we need to prepare for change. This experiment with how we're working together and the new sort of the new balance that we're creating will continue. And to Agata's point, I think every organization needs to do what Paystone is doing and listen more. So can I go a little bit deeper into those, Jason, or you getting me to move on right away?
No. I was agreeing with you with my thumb. Okay. Yeah, no, I love
awesome. It. So like on the first point, I think we don't know. We know that the economists are telling us things where we know that we're in for volatility. And what does that mean for the people in culture, people who care about people in culture, and those of us in the room here, is that our employees are going to continue to feel uneasy. And the best organizations, the organizations that really kind of win in 2023 are going to, to Agata's point, they're going to over communicate and they're going to over listen. and I don't think you can over communicate and over listen, but it's going to feel that way. And I think that the key is that no one's left in the dark, because how do we feel in the absence of information when the world is doing crazy things all around us? If our executive team or our communications team is like crafting the perfect message and trying to get it right, and in the meantime, we're waiting to hear this, we'll fill that void with information, we as people in an organization. And so I think early and often, and don't leave anyone in the dark, and I think Agata, you said it, even if we have nothing to say, we're going to say that we have nothing to say at this time, but we haven't forgotten about you, and we're here and we care about you, and we know that it's uneasy and all of that kind of, all the lead with empathy. So that's number one. And it kind of goes right into number two, which is if we know that change is coming and the experts can't really tell you what it is, but there's going to be something. There's going to be a new, quiet quitting, or something internationally happening that's going to have an impact in this super connected world. All we can do is invest in our managers and help make sure that they're prepared to support and navigate through with their teams this inevitable change that's going to come. And so, like, specifically, I think it's, invest in something as simple as training around change leadership. But I think it's also have a plan for when those changes hit, that managers, those people that I said have taken a hit for the team for 3 years, they're kind of stuck in the middle between the executive and the people, and they've got to have all the answers and everyone expects everything from them. Let's invest in them. Let's make sure that we have a plan to get the information to them first before their team members start asking them for it, to set up, like, and I hate this term, but like a war room, like a resource where they can come to and get answers when, there's a merger happening, or there's an acquisition, or something big has happened in the world and we want to know what the company's reaction to this is. Let's make sure that we have a plan to get information to managers really quickly. And I think that's just knowing that I got that information even a split second before I had to support my team feels better than having the team come to you and going, I don't know, no one's really told me anything about this yet. So I think we need to do that for sure. On the hybrid front, Jason, I know you're doing some really cool things at Bucketlist around this, but I think on this front, I think we're still figuring this out. And we saw the pendulum kind of, shift one direction, like, all these companies announcing we're all remote 100% all the time. And the pendulum kind of shifted back a little bit of saying, well, we're kind of all remote except when we want to bring the team together to collaborate. And I think we're trying to find that balance. And I think the organizations that get it understand that this is not cost savings. And, we have the pleasure of working with some organizations that really get this, and they invest in these like quarterly connect days. O2E Brands is an organization that does that. Agata, I know you at Paystone, you have such a distributed team, and the cost of bringing the group together is probably more than the cost of the WeWork spaces that you have around the country. And you have to look at it that way. This is investing in the new way of working and the new way of bringing people together for the right reasons. And doing that creates some gravity in the organization. And I think I'm a strong believer that organizations need gravity. Gravity is like places or events to come together for. And when you feel that, you don't feel like you're sort of floating out in the ether. So I think we're going to continue to figure that out as the year goes on. And, following the lead of some of the great organizations, like yours. And then finally, and Agata, you said this better than I could, but organizations are going to need to figure out how to listen and listen more. And that's surveying, but it's sharing the results of the survey. It's bringing focus groups together when programs are rolled out. It's asking our people, especially people in culture initiatives, we've got to make sure that they're involved in how is this going to impact you? Is this what you had in mind? Is this what you need? Is this going to make a difference? And I think if organizations that kind of think about these four things are going to be the winners at the end of 2023. That's my prediction, Jason.
That is awesome prediction. And Agata, I'd love to pick your brain next and get your prediction. Sure. 2023.
Yeah. So this isn't, the left side is a little bit of what Jerry was talking about. I think this is quite broad, but this is also going to be a Paystone way of thinking about it. But this shows up in almost every article in the last half of 2022. And it's not easy to turn around. So I think this will become the themes for 2023. So yeah, like what Jerry, just to double tap on what Jerry said, like the macroeconomics are making people weary, right? Like that's just, we saw people take control, have a lot more value and more power as employees. I think organizations' reaction to that can be twofold. What we'll be doing, and I think organizations are getting kind of more comfortable, is being proactive around communicating, even if there's nothing. I think that's always been a very awkward thing, because it's like, well, someone has to have the answer, someone has to have a strategy, someone has to have a plan, and the answer sometimes is no. And so no, there isn't a plan for this, or we never thought it would happen, or whatever it is. And there's been this previous experience where that would be weakness, where I think in 2023 that will be actually strength, being honest and open, and then saying, like, any ideas, like co-create. I saw this quote on LinkedIn, and I believe it's from Carolyn Carter, who's in communications. And she said, like, we're so good at marketing to people who aren't our customers, but we don't market internally. And so she wrote in a big thing, but like, treat your employees as a precious audience that they are. And it's so interesting that when that clicked for me, I was like, we need to make sure our employees know these things better than a candidate, better than a customer, better whoever. And that requires communication, not just a really good message, right? And then the second is like, transparency is no longer like, I personally don't love the word, but that's another day of a webinar, but transparency has really become a requirement by the people. It's no longer a request. I think it used to be like, oh, can you tell me what this is? And where this is showing up is not just everywhere, but it's really, really gotten really pointed on compensation. So for us, we're going to be doing a big bunch of work in that area specifically, and it's to educate our employees regardless of Paystone, but also into their lives. This is something we can gift them for them to be able to have conversations about in the future. So, but you'll see that there's this whole like transparent purpose, transparent revenue. You can see it in every article on almost every employee forum. And I mean, we're seeing it in some other organizations as well. So that's the left side. I think that's macroeconomics. Now, I think a theme that will become more prevalent in 2023. So that's kind of like based on kind of like the negative of the macroeconomics, but like you go deep into the organization. I think that organizations that have banded around a purpose are really driving, whether you're fully work from home or remote or in person. I think the future really is where peers will move to a reward system. For us, it's really an evolution from our recognition initiative. Like, it really worked. Like, we don't have to ask anyone to leave each other recognition. That is like completely organic. It's self-service. It works completely great. I think the future is this. We did a performance management project in the year, and like employees that participated in that project really wanted to be able to reward each other. That was from the people. And so I think that is going to be pretty consistent. And also what I think is getting more and more clear is like the organization's success is not one person, and it's not a bunch of one persons, it's groups and teams and projects and all those things, and expanding recognition and rewards to be more group-based versus just the individual. I think we're doing really great on the individual side, but I think, yeah, we know which feature or which function or whatever is contributing and having, immense impact. So I think those are kind of the within the organizations that are kind of like positives that will continue to grow in 2023.
Love that. I got it. Jason, can I just comment on
Yeah.
Agata? I love that your last point, and I know that you know this too, but the team recognition is one of the proven ways that teams become resilient. And like the most resilient teams have this feeling of like, we're invincible as a team. Yeah. We are so good. Like, Agata's good, Jason's good, that person's good, that person's good, we're all good. And that's why we won the gold medal, sort of thing or whatever. Yeah. But when you do that group recognition, the power of the team just sort of takes off.
Yeah. We're playing with a bunch of cool things pretty soon here on like grouping people in different ways, but recognition and rewards are really hard in groups, because our groups, I don't know if every organization does it, but our groups actually change like often. Right. So it's like, okay, you're invisible, but you're no longer together. So, but we still want to thank you for that work.
That's another
But
challenge to figure
yeah,
out.
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I'm gonna jump in and share just a couple of quick ideas from, I guess, from my point of view. So, and these are really specific to our organization, but I mean, hopefully there's some good takeaways for those of you who are on the call. So for themes for 2023, I coined this phrase called distributed 2.0. Nobody else has used this term, so this is something I was like, wanted to come up with this term. Bucketlist is truly a distributed team. We have employees all over the world in North America, South America, Europe. And there's, as everybody knows, there's some cool benefits to that, and the team seems to enjoy it quite a bit. However, we recently ran a survey. Speaking of surveys, we use Great Places to Work, and one of the areas of feedback was the team wanted more face-to-face time with one another. And the way I took it, I was actually really happy. I was like, what I announced to the team, here's the feedback. It just means you like each other. You want to spend more time with each other. And as Jerry is saying, there's they want more gravity. They want a deeper sense of community. And I totally get it. I love people as well. So here's just a few of the things we're doing. Unintentionally, we've had certain regions pop up where there's a bunch of employees. So we have a whole bunch of employees in Vancouver, Victoria, Toronto, London, for example. And we're creating social committees that are empowered with budgets that are now able to create quarterly get-togethers on a face-to-face basis in specific regions, which is super cool. So these micro communities are popping up, and they tend to be cross-functional. Like you might get a developer, a salesperson, a customer service person, but they're getting together face-to-face in these different regions. A week ago, there's a it was a party. I saw the photos on Slack with a bunch of people located in Toronto, and it looked awesome. I wish I could have been there. And then something else we're now doing, as Jerry said, is we're doing an in-person company offsite. This is the first one we've ever done in our company history. And also to Jerry's point, it is not cheap. It's like, sure, there's some perks to being distributed, but we're gonna bring everybody together. We're gonna cover all their travel costs, accommodation costs. We're gonna actually be meeting in Whistler, British Columbia, which is like this beautiful resort town about 2 hours north of Vancouver. I actually announced this morning in the company huddle, and there's so much buzz. People are really excited. There's jokes. There's this one fella named Irfan. He's located in Pakistan. I love him. He's been with us for like 5 years. My joke was I can't wait to man hug him because he's like 6'5", and I'm like, I don't know if I can pick him up off the ground, but I'm gonna try. So yeah, we're gonna be doing these in-person offsites, which is super exciting for me personally. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, we have these social committees that are coming to live, but they're highly empowered both to do virtual experiences and in-person experiences on a regional basis. Cool. We're going to be moving into key takeaways. One other concept actually I want to talk about related to 2023 before we go to key takeaways and Q&A. The two themes that I see emerging right now, based upon the reading and research I've done, one is around this looming recession. I'm a bit of an optimist, and when I heard about talk of the recession kind of mid last year, I was like, how long do recessions last? And according to the last 10 cycles, they typically last between 8 months and 18 months, with an average of 11 months. And in Canada, anyways, according to research from RBC, the recession is predicted to be a mild one. But of course, this will impact each sector differently. If you're healthcare, maybe less of an impact, and then other sectors there might be a deep impact. And then the other trend that I find absolutely fascinating is, although we might be heading into a bit of a recession, I was like, what's the impact on labor shortage? And like in the media, in the popular narrative, you hear about these huge layoffs in Twitter. You hear about huge layoffs in a lot of the biggest tech companies in the world. However, as of about a month ago, I read a research or a piece of stat that said there's still a 28% labor shortage for tech workers, which is huge. So even though there might be some layoffs taking place, those great people are being rapidly snapped up, hopefully by emerging startups. So I don't think the labor shortage is going to be going away anytime soon. And a lot of that's being driven by the baby boomer population starting to rapidly retire. In North America, for example, if there wasn't any immigration, both populations would be declining right now. So the bodies just won't be there like they were in the past. So just a couple of trends that I've been paying attention to. Cool. I'm going to pivot now and talk a little bit about some of the key takeaways. And if you guys are open to it, if the attendees are open to it, I'd love to see in the chat window, maybe just type what your favorite takeaway was. So some of the things we chatted about was the workplace is in for more volatility in 2023, no doubt. We talked about the hybrid and distributed experiments. We talked about the importance of listening, of being more transparent, treating employees as individuals and not just a group, sharing more often, even if there is no news, which is a great takeaway, and including peer recognition into your culture building strategy. So anything for the attendees, anything for you that really stood out? And actually, I'll make this a question for Jerry and Agata. Oh, Craig, North Star metric. Great to hear, sir. Jerry and Agata, what was your favorite takeaway from today?
Mine was investing in your frontline managers to deal with change. I think that was one that I was like, we probably could do more there for sure.
Awesome.
We have a North Star metric, so that would have been mine as well. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, what is your North Star metric?
Yeah, well, it lines up with our strategy actually perfectly, and it's exactly meets what your criteria. Our North Star metric is active customers in our clients. So we know we've helped our clients grow by seeing that they have more customers, and we would therefore also get more clients. So we have like a tier. So we actually care about their success because we will be then therefore successful.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna keep moseying along here. There's gonna be a couple of quick questions now. I'd love to ask you, so you're the attendees, we deeply value your feedback. We're truly on a mission to help build the best cultures in the world and help people leaders. So I'm gonna pop this up on screen. I'd love to hear what you thought of today's session. What did you think of the webinar? Go ahead and respond to the poll question if you don't mind, which should be up on screen for you.
Says I can't vote, Jason.
I know.
You guys are speakers. Speakers. We don't want to bias the results. Awesome. So a bunch of you have now voted. Thank you. I'm going to end that poll. Thank you. The feedback looks fantastic. Next up, give me a moment here. I'm going to take off my culture building hat, and I'd love to share just a little bit of information about Bucketlist Rewards. We are the #1 employee rewards and recognition program. We've been voted easiest to use. We have the highest customer service score, and we do a darn fine job of personalizing the rewards of whether it's like a $5 gift card or making employee dreams come true. So if you want to learn more about Bucketlist Rewards, just go ahead and click yes. I'm going to launch the survey now, or the poll. And let this run for about 5 more seconds. You can go ahead and end the poll here. And then, Agata, do you want to share just a little bit of Paystone?
Sure, absolutely. So Paystone is a customer-driven growth platform. You might be still trying to figure out what we do. We really do help businesses in home services, hospitality, automotive, healthcare. So any kind of small, medium businesses that are in the services business. Likely if you're on this call, you're not one of those people, but you may be married to one or have a brother or family member friend. If you think they would value a conversation with someone from Paystone, feel free to just direct message me or right on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect them to get a demo. But yeah, that's us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Agata. And then lastly, I'd love to let Jerry share a little bit about Trailblaze Partners and sidebar. They are awesome.
Thank you, Jason. So much like your organization, Trailblaze is on a mission to make work better for 1 million people by 2027. So North Star metric, I didn't even know that's what it was called, but apparently we have one. What I want to talk to you about is leadership development. We do a lot of things. Now's the time to think about how you're investing in leaders in 2023. On the slide are 3 ways that we can do this for you. say yes if you want us to reach out to you and talk about leadership development.
Fantastic. And like I said, I've had a chance to get to know Jerry personally and professionally. Trailblaze is a fantastic organization, and having had a chance to participate in one of the leadership sessions, I learned more in that one session about leadership. I don't know, Agata was there too, but like,
Yeah.
Man, those are some strong, powerful takeaways.
Yeah, to answer the question in the chat, Trailblaze on LinkedIn or trailblazepartners.com on the interweb.
And they're on Instagram.
Fantastic.
Apparently we are, Agata.
And we'll be going to Q&A in about 10 seconds here. But for those of you who love your credits, we have an HRCI credit. Sometimes people dial in, so I'm just by phone. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the credit number. So for the HRCI credit is 613479. And then the SHRM credit is 22-CM FFC. And as I said, we'll be recording this and sending this out to everybody as well. Awesome. And then Q&A time. So I'd invite everybody here to type in your questions now. And I'm going to be pulling up the Q&A window as well. Give me a second, Q&A. So a couple of questions that have popped up. One was around the war room example. So Jerry, you'd shared this concept of a war room. What does it look like, and what are some of the forms it has taken?
Yeah, great. And I was speaking about it in the context of there's some change that you're trying to lead your organization through. So the traditional war room was actually a room where you'd say, you know, we're launching this new program, or this acquisitions happen, and this is a place where managers can come to. Anyone you can set them up at different levels, but for managers, it would be a place where you can come and ask questions, get resources, kind of strategize how you're addressing the change with your team. In the new world, you know, you create Zoom rooms and you keep them open. And so they're generally, you know, someone in the communications or the P&C team is kind of personing the war room, but they're a place where a safe place to go and go, I don't know how I'm going to talk to my team about this, or I've got this question and I don't know how to answer. What do I do? Makes people feel way less alone out there in dealing with some of the change that we know is coming in 2023.
Yeah, awesome example. I see you nodding there as well, Agata. Anything to add to that one, or?
Yeah, I think if it's, say, a critical incident or moment or something that's very like time sensitive, I'd actually even create a Slack channel so that it's like, hey, I have this question, they can upvote it, and like people can actually see the responses. Even if you're doing the visual conversation, someone can like recap it, post it. Using Loom is very great for really quick, not polished communication that's recorded, because you don't have time to type. But yeah, absolutely. I think use whatever tools you have and just make it accessible to the right people quickly.
Yeah. 100%.
Awesome examples, team. Especially, you're right, as we go into 2023, where there's so much unpredictability, like this will come up.
Yeah.
And next question, and maybe I'll direct this one to Agata. So you talked about the importance of transparency. You mentioned a couple of things like compensation, being transparent about company revenue. How are you guys doing that over at Paystone?
Yeah, I think it's evolutionary. I think prior to me joining, there wasn't a lot of transparency on organizational pieces. And not that it was hidden, it just wasn't broadcasted. What we've done is we've actually shifted. Last year was our first year of having like company level objectives and key results, like in a very detailed way, not that they never had objectives before, but very detailed. And we talked about them and we educated, and we're really bringing the team along, especially because our business actually values diversity from different sectors. So financial tech is quite small, and actually different points of view actually really bring value. So they don't always have the same kind of understanding of what matters to the organization. This year, we've taken the approach that how do we bring employees along to know when things are falling off, like, or when things are good, where do we like double down when things are going well? And so our objectives and key results are really around our 3 pillars of success, and they're very direct, like X dollars of revenue to this dollar of revenue, from here to here. This is the growth percentage we're going for. And then between all that is, what does it mean for each line of business or product specifically? And I think it's easy to sometimes just say the top line, but actually starting to break it down smaller by smaller so that everyone has a spot where they can say, I know exactly where I contribute. And that's been a really hard undertaking. I would say that that's been in the works for past 5 months. And it's hard because we learned from this year what we missed, who we missed to bring along in the journey. And we don't want to miss that, because everyone in the organization is very impactful, very important. If they weren't, we wouldn't be doing it, but it's how they feel that's important, because regardless, we can keep saying it, but if they don't feel it, it's not real for them.
That's awesome, Agata. I heard this really good quote by Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, that talked about something very similar. He's like, a lot of times companies, he talks a lot about the hero's journey. And he's like, a lot of times companies try to become the hero in the journey, but it's more important to make your employees the hero and talk to them about how they impact the company, and they lift up the company as an individual, which I thought that was like, I was like, yes, that's it. Like, connect them to the bigger mission and talk about their hero's journey and how you can empower them. That's fantastic.
Yeah. We really we really are working on like bringing that purpose to life. It really got solidified in 2022. It's not like it wasn't around before again, but it was like we've gotten really pointy on it. Sometimes we kind of, as executives, feel like we talk about it too much around customer driven growth and helping businesses grow. But I think it's like starting to really resonate, and it shows up differently for different people. Like for me, I always think it's like giving the underdogs a fighting chance. I get so excited about that.
Love it. What a great, what an awesome message about the fighting chance. That's cool. And I see a question popped up in the chat window, and maybe Agata, if you want to tackle this one. So do you have any recommendations for recognition and community building for a nonprofit where extra money and time is an issue and teams work mostly independently?
Yeah. I don't know what platform you use to keep people connected or informed, but there's a few that just immediately come to mind. Like, you don't need to spend money to have people use, like, just do peer recognition in a channel. Like if you use Slack or MS Teams, you can actually have just like a channel called like peer feedback, peer recognition round. We call it round of applause. You're welcome to steal that. And it's super cool. You just give kudos. Like, you have to explain why you're bringing this around. We love when people put pictures. We love when people link into like a specific 5-star review we got on Google. So yeah, you don't need a lot of money. I know that some businesses will have like I worked in a retail environment where people were really distributed. And so it would be every store would have to put forward like one employee of the month, and the team would have to explain why they were putting that employee up. And it was super cool because the whole team in that location got to do it. And when it got publicized, it was like getting 7 at once, like 7 pieces of recognition at once. And it was really, really cool. So it doesn't have to be money. It sometimes takes a little bit like elbow grease and time.
That's awesome. And I loved how you anchored into a couple of free ways to do that as well. Like, I would just agree with everything you said. And for those of you who are on Slack, MS Teams has the same feature where you can create different channels and different recognition. So there's lots of ways to do this today. And Jerry, anything to add to that? I thought I saw you.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think the only thing I'd add is leaders, even if you want peer-to-peer recognition, leaders have to model that. How recognition is not a attaboy, pat on the back kind of great job, Agata. It's specific. It's, you did a great job on that webinar today when you shared that blah blah blah. That makes me feel good, not the slap on the back and the great job team sort of thing. And so I think if leaders model that, then you start to create this culture of recognition where team members go, I see how it's done, and it's done often. It's not done once a year. It's done often.
Amazing.
Yeah. without having to like, and just to add on that, like without ever having to talk to my executive or leadership team, whenever we have peer-to-peer feedback, someone in our leadership team responds to it. There's always somebody that's like, I see you, and it's super cool. I think that really makes people value it, when it's like, maybe they didn't come from that leader, but it's like, I still see you. So
amazing. I'm looking at the time. We've kind of hit the top of the hour, and I want to be really respectful of everybody who's joined us today. So I'm going to move to wrap up now. I wanted to thank Agata and Jerry for joining me today. Awesome insights both on last year and fantastic predictions for the future. There's some great takeaways. And then lastly, I want to thank the attendees as well. Like, thank you for joining us in the wrap up at the end of the year here. I hope you guys had some great takeaways. As I said, it's all our mission to help like lift you guys up and contribute any way we can. Up on screen, you'll see a bunch of LinkedIn handles. Please feel free to connect with Agata, Jerry, or myself. These two are exceptionally cool people with huge amounts of information, and they're very smart brains. So with that, why don't we move to wrap up? Agata, Jerry, any kind of final comments before we close it off for the day?
Thanks, Jason.
take a break. Take a break if you need it.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah. Enjoy the break, everyone. Fantastic. All right, team. Have a good one. We'll wrap it up there.